guys, my name is George. I represent GameHive, the cool company who has a bunch of games in the roleplay category, such as Tap Titans 2, Battle Bouncers, Battle Run, etc., etc. My favorite one is Beat the Boss 4. So guys, if you are upset about your boss and want to slap him or her, just don't do it in reality. Just download the app and do it in virtually. Except GameHive, I'm helping guys with growth, mainly with App Store optimization and with paid user acquisition as well, and with monetization as well. Besides that, I have my hustling show, 3-Minute Boost with George, where I'm inviting one person, asking one question within a serious topic on online marketing. And besides that, it's a funny episodes with dancing and with bloopers as well, so check that out. All episodes are funny except one that I shoot together with my colleague Evgen Tarasenko, which we dedicated to Ukrainian people. So we collect here, there are different initiatives. One was that we collect all Ukrainians who are in mobile industry and searching for the job, and put in Excel sheet. So feel free to find if you are looking for the specific role. Another stuff, we shared the project with Alexandra Lomachenko about she developed a platform from Ukrainian people, kids. So you can buy the arts there for $5-10, and this money will go directly to the guys, the kids who paint, who develop their arts, or you can just directly help the family. That's about myself. I'm talking too much right now. Let's move forward with the topic. Today we're gonna talk about ASO, the trends, forecast, and status quo, together with Benjamin. Hi, Ben. Let you introduce yourself with the quick question: why do you think each mobile marketers should take care about ASO and talk about ASO nowadays?
Excellent. Well, thank you. So just a quick introduction, Benjamin Burgess. I'm with Life360. Life360 is a location sharing app, cross-platform, 50 million active users. Any Life360 users here? The one person from Life360. Okay, George.
I just checked your app. You know, even before I knew that we talked together before.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's kind of this is dated, but it's like the Chris Rock joke. Like Life360 is like the Spice Girls. 50 million users, no one admits to having it. I mean, that's pretty much where we are. So yeah, Life360 is a location sharing app, cross-platform. For our free version, it's basically location sharing with place alerts, crash detection. But then we have a premium version, which basically enables. Basically, it rolls in like what you would get from AAA with roadside assistance, what you would get with OnStar with digital protection, and what you would get with from LifeLock as well, digital protection. So it basically has a very robust. So we have a huge user base in the U.S., very large user base internationally. And my role at Life360 is mobile growth, organic and paid. So I'm dealing with DSPs, I'm dealing with Apple Search Ads, Google. I'm also dealing on the organic side with App Store optimization. And I've been there for about 18 months. Prior to Life360, I was with a weather app called AccuWeather. And AccuWeather did very similar work there with mobile growth, organic and paid, and also user engagement. So very versed in this. I've been on teams where I am everybody. I have all the hats. I basically don't have a hat rack because I'm wearing all the hats all the time. And I've also been on some teams where we're more siloed and I have people to report to. So I'm happy to share the insights that I have. I know there's been a lot of talk about ASO here at the conference. Hopefully something that we can talk about will be beneficial to your time spent.
Thanks, Ben. And another question that pop up is let's talk about ASO strategy. How you deal step by step process, the list do and don't do. Please share with the audience.
Yeah. So the first thing to do with ASO is look at it in two different ways. One is discoverability or visibility. Like, how do people find you? I mean, keyword search. What is it? How are they finding you to begin with? Is if you're looking at just search rankings, what keywords are you coming in on? So that's the first. So familiarize yourself with that. And then look at it from like, okay, what does your store look like? What are your title? What are your subtitle? What are your short description? What are your long descriptions? What matters? What are your keywords? Like, so when I came into Life 360, the first thing I did was basically got access to App Store Connect and Google Play Console and just did an audit on everything that I had. And some people have tools I came in and we had App Annie/Data AI. It's like, okay, great. That's a great tool set. Other places like AccuWeather, I didn't have anything. I had Google Sheets. So you're working with code to like make sure you go the certain length of the terms of the fields. But so you have to figure out what you have to work with, and you have to figure out what you're working with. That's the first thing. So on discoverability, then you're doing with conversion. So discoverability is the first thing, how people find you. The second thing is conversion. Your app store is the final spot of a funnel. Right. I mean, you do all this work with ads out there. You do all this work with brand work out there. But at the end of the day, even if you have people going to the website, at the end of the day, they have to download the app, and that's done in the App Store. And your app presence, your App Store presence, that's your final landing page. And you've got to build this landing page that talks to everybody. Thankfully, we've got custom product pages now, which is helping a little bit. But prior to custom product pages, your App Store had to speak to everybody. So discoverability and conversion are your two things to focus in on the most. Discoverability, dealing with the metadata, the title, the short title, the keywords, and conversion, dealing with the actual impressions to your store and conversion rate.
Yeah, what I'm doing as well is to do a prioritization, which ASO part will take most impact for me, and then moving forward and put everything on a roadmap. Yes, and for me, for instance, I'm starting with conversion rate because in my categories the power of keywords decreased yearly because of high competition, because of UA as well, and you can actually buy these keywords and getting on first position versus what wasn't the case several years ago. Yes, so I put my effort in conversion rate, then doing a prioritization, and then moving forward also with keyword and discoverability.
Yeah, I think one thing I'd like to point out that I think. So some low-hanging fruit, right? And I like to use the term fruit on the ground. Like we say low-hanging fruit a lot, but sometimes you'll come into a company and there's literally fruit just laying on the ground. Like if you go in, so when we talk ASO, we don't say it directly, but we usually are talking App Store, iOS App Store. Because Google is Google and Google Play Console belongs to Google, gaming that is a lot harder to do than it is App Store, iOS App Store. So if you've been in the SEO world at all, like iOS App Store is Google 20 years ago. They're just not as good at search as Google is. So you can game iOS a lot better. So there are things like, there's a freaking keyword field in the App Store Connect. Come on, Apple. Like, you got to do a little bit better than this and just ask us, like, so what are you relevant for? That's just kind of old and silly, but it's available. So some things you have to look at, like the fruit on the ground, is, okay, look at your keywords. Do you have any spaces? Are you utilizing all characters in there? Like, are you doing your best to take advantage of every single character? Another aspect that I like to do is I like to take the title, I like to take the subtitle, and I like to take the keywords and basically concatenate all those as if there was one big field, and then make sure I don't duplicate any words in that field, and that make sure that my list of prioritization of keywords is in order. Because that's basically what I've found, is that each one of each spot in that concatenated field of title, subtitle, keywords, they all basically rank all up and down like that.
Yeah, I agree with you. So the next one will be branding and app store optimization. Yeah, like based on my experience, yeah, sometimes branding doesn't work at all in terms of like performance. and it's very challenging to convince branding team, hey guys, actually what you are telling sometimes it's hard performance. Yes, what challenges do you see here, and how you fix this?
Yeah, so I love this. So I love having a brand team because it actually means somebody's doing work to actually get our name out there, right? So that's the blessing of a brand team. The downside is the branding team comes to me and says, hey, we do not want to be known as a location tracker. It's like, well, F that. I mean, what do you think people are searching for? I mean, it's classic SEO 101, right? It's like, I worked for a company where we sold buckets. I know this is old school, but we sold buckets. But the tech team said, well, those are pails, not buckets. And I'm like, no one's searching for a pail. People are searching for a bucket. And they're like, so that's the same thing with this. Like, we don't want to be known as a location tracker. We want to be known as a sharing your location or finding family. And it's like, people are searching for location tracker. I've got to be able to leverage this, or else we're just leaving installs on the table. Good installs that we're absolutely qualified for. So you have to be able to speak to the executive team, the brand team, and basically say, all right, where can we come and meet in the middle on this? Because you have to have the data. You have to show them, like, look, this is what we're walking away from, and this is who we're going to give it to. So that's the one side. That's one side of it on the keyword. Another example is on the creative. Like I come into a company.
It's a tough one, no?
Yeah, that's a tough one. I came into a company and what I like to do is I immediately like to test the icon, because when you test the App Store icon, you find out really quickly who cares the most about the app and the App Store presence, because that's like, there are some founders that are like, why is the icon being adjusted? They care a lot about that. It's like you could change the title of the app and they wouldn't say anything, but you change the icon and all of a sudden everybody's like, wait a minute, what's this guy doing? So if you want to find out if you can ruffle feathers or not, change the icon. You'll find out quickly. But I ran a test, and it was a simple test. It was a reverse. It was at AccuWeather, and it was a reverse. It was a sun. So the icon was white sun on orange background. And I went daringly to orange sun on white background, right? Really simple. And got data behind it. And it was like, okay, the white sun on the orange background performed significantly better. Like, actually, like, Google's like, yeah, that's a clear winner. The brand VP comes in and he's like, we're switching to orange on white. It's better for our brand. And I was like, this doesn't perform. Really. This doesn't perform. The data says, I showed the data, and he literally looked at me as like, I don't want to crowdsource my designs. And I'm like, this is not crowdsourcing. This is installed data that I'm leaving on the table. Are you kidding me? And so sometimes you have to fight those battles, and you have to realize, I'm going to give you all the data I can. But sometimes you're just going to lose, but you have to go to fight. You have to fight for it.
Yeah, and you have to find a sweet spot actually, and compromise sometimes with branding team. In terms of like winning creatives, yes. What is your approach to develop the winning creatives? Do you have any guidelines how to succeed within this direction?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's always been Google experiments, right? I mean, that's pretty much where we've been able to do most of our creative testing with Google experiments, which has been great. But the truth is, a lot of us rely heavily on iOS for our downloads, and here in the US at least. And so Google experiments is fantastic. It's great for finding out about feature graphics, about icons, about screenshots. It gives you good insights there. And if you're able to move the needle, you can trust those results. So I've relied on Google experiments for that, but it's on Android. iOS's was trickier, and there were hacks and workarounds. But until recently, when they released product page optimization, it was like, oh, finally, we have something that we can actually utilize and leverage here. But product page optimization was coupled to releases, which is just crap. And it's been that way for a while. And we release weekly. So I can't run a test.
There was no winning.
Yeah, there was no winning. There was no winning success here. So, but the good news is Apple has finally decoupled it from releases. I'm getting ready to experiment with that, but I haven't. But to answer your question, Google experiments gives insights, helps me find out all right, here's what what kind of results I can get. What I like to do is I typically like to have various different variations, like significant variations. And then when I get a clear winner, then I iterate on small iterations on that winner to see if I can tweak it more, and then give it some time to breathe, and then go back and do again. On the iOS side of things, I would kind of hack it by building out custom product pages and use Apple Search Ads brand to kind of like where I had a lot of traction. It was low cost to see, okay, what's going to move the needle? Like what can I get insight wise? It's not a true A/B test, but it was kind of a hacky way to do it.
Also, in terms of like Google Play Store, the confidence interval is very low, like 90%, and sometimes the test that shows a winner version, it's not the winner version. So like I'm moving forward with retesting the stuff again, or doing the implementation and doing before after if nothing changed. Yeah, like from paid UA perspective.
Yeah, I found. So I would find Google experiments. If you were close, it would be like, oh, the winner declared winner. And if you leave it up for like a few more days, it's like, oh, it's a draw. No, everything's a draw now. It's like you're like, well, what? Come on. So yeah, I mean, it's you try to gain the insights from where you can, but I think more than anything, don't fall into the trap of being a surveyed audience of one. Don't rely on your own preference. Like we all fall into that.
That's the key, man.
Yeah, we all want to like. Oh, I think this is the better one. Like I've even seen results where I want to pull a Trump and be like, stop the count. You know, it's like I see an experiment happening and I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. That's where I want to be. That's the numbers I want, and I want to stop it and be like, yeah, but.
I have so many times experienced that the whole team think that this is very bad version, and we put it just for fun, and it's a winner one, and couple times winner one, not just like coincidentally. So don't like try to test everything. Even the crazy ones, and sometimes it works very, very well. And don't keep the opinions of CEO or founders, because this is a very bad way to moving forward with the business and develop in general. Yes,
most CEOs and founders or executives they'll have a very vocal opinion, but they will back off if you come back with data, and I don't think that's groundbreaking. But you have to go find the data and speak to it and have like proof behind it.
True, man. In terms of localization, yes. What framework do you use? Do you use culturalization, or what can you advise?
Yeah. So with localization, we are a global app, and we have. So we have a presence in several. I think it's like our count is like 25 different languages. So having an optimization presence in each one of those is important, because it is a place where we expect to grow, if not now, in the future. And what I found is that you can go viral without any efforts in places where you may not even realize. Like we went viral in the Philippines and became the #1 app downloaded for like a week and a half straight. And I mean, it was a sad reason. There were a lot of kidnappings happening in the Philippines, and so the news reports were basically saying download Life 360 across the wire, and so all of a sudden we just were like going crazy. So I mean, if you're not optimized or you're not built to even convert, like you're not going to capture. You can't throw up new creatives right away. So it's good to like, if your app is localized to a country, you should have an app store presence, and at the minimum. You should have screenshots of the actual app in the localization, in the language, in the metric system of whatever that country relies on. Don't just throw up some English ones. Like have something there. And that there is a hack though. So if you don't localize outside, if you're basically a US only app and you don't localize, I think App Figures, I heard this on the Sub Club podcast. I haven't been able to do this myself, but if you don't localize outside of the US, if you go and do like Spanish Mexico in App Store iOS, you can do it. You can basically have a second English store in Spanish Mexico, and it'll help your US store ranking as well. So you can basically double up on keywords and double up on efforts, and it's a bit hacky. I would prefer you if you can optimize in Spanish, but if you can't, it is something you can take advantage of.
I also want to add that sometimes, in most cases, also you have to put not only localization but culturalization as well. So some stuff is that working in Western European countries and like in US and North America doesn't work in Asia, for instance.
Yeah,
Asians are super specific.
Yeah.
Yes, Japanese and Koreans, they are like completely different ones.
Yeah.
And in general, it works completely different. Even the colors, everything like the characters as well, they have their own stuff.
Yeah. Absolutely. German is the worst language to optimize for, by the way. The character count in German is nuts. It's just like you're like location sharing, and all of a sudden it's like, it's like it goes way far, and you're like, I don't know how to make this more concise. Where on the flip side, Asian language like Chinese or Japanese or Korean, those characters can go on forever and they don't ever fill up the space, right? So you can do a lot more hacky stuff there. But German, if you ever want to know, like, am I writing too long? German is the one to start with because it's gonna cause problems.
In terms of like the recent trends, yes, which trends can you share for app store optimization for our audience?
Trends is hard. So in-app events are really big, and basically what's been shared in some other presentations is you can actually benefit from in-app events, and the title of your in-app event can help your ranking for that day, but it also can mess up your ranking. If you go and title an in-app event something completely different than what you are, then all of a sudden that's going to start getting weighted more than your terms that you've put into your title and whatnot. So in-app events are strong. I've had mixed results with in-app events personally. I mean, whenever Apple or Google come out with something and they say, hey, you should use this, do it. Like, get out there and take advantage of it, because if you ever want them to like you, utilizing their toys is something they're going to be paying attention to. But the problem is a lot of us, like, our in-app events are basically like, we have a free trial. We always have a free trial, but we have a free trial. So you almost have to come up with like something to like put in there. But at the same time, I would be careful. Like if anybody has their phone, if you do a search for the term weather, the number one result outside of the native weather is the Weather Channel. And right now they have an app event happening where it's basically track storm Brett or whatever the storm's name is, right? And it's taking up the whole spot, but it's taking out their screenshots. So they're a weather app. You think most of their traffic is coming off people who are looking for a weather app, not people looking for a tropical storm, right? So realistically, now it's a bad landing page for people who are really looking for weather, right? So you have to be careful with your in-app event that it's not going to detract from the majority of your users who are coming to see you for you, not you for this special event. Does that make sense? Okay. Because it will suppress your screenshots. Yeah,
true that. From my experience, I can add that within the recent threads, I see also artificial intelligence with app store optimization. We're going to talk about that later. This is the next question. Another stuff is live ops for Android for non-game apps as well, which wasn't for most of the non-game apps available in past. And it's based on my experience, I don't know based on yours, but live ops cards are working way more in terms of impact versus the in-app events, and they have less limitation and more visibility on Google Play Store versus on App Store itself. More or less, and of course the automation, the stuff, yes, automation everything. Try to automation everything. Try to automation the screenshots through different tools like a banner flow, for instance. Try to automation the KPI, ASO KPI dashboard through APIs or through asking Martech team to get dashboard done. Which try to do as much possible optimization as you can do, because otherwise you're gonna waste too much time on doing this routine stuff, and it will you will be locked with new initiatives.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would say against that is some of us aren't good at that, right? We don't know how to automate these things. We don't know how to build them. We don't know how to take advantage. So we don't. I would say if you can learn. If you could find something to help you facilitate and move faster, definitely do that. But don't think, oh, I don't know how to do that, so I can't do this at all. Like, I mean, I don't want you to have like paralysis from too many choices or too many things, or basically not knowing. I mean, a lot of people are just trying to hack this together the best they can. I completely agree. If you can automate, if you can put it in motion so you're not spending the time on this, do it. But at the same time, do whatever you can to get something up there and just try to get it to convert.
Also, what I'm waiting for in artificial intelligence is really to see the product which advise you to develop the creatives like videos or motion design as well. And that would be, in my opinion, game changer, because you will not spend time to iterate the stuff. You will have some tool that already say, hey, do this, do that based on your user base, and don't do just silly iterations with just based on your experience or based on your opinion. Yeah. Another question. Let's move forward with artificial intelligence. Yes, and what is your experience, Benjamin, with artificial experience mixing with ASO? What did you try, and what works for you?
So I have been an early adopter when it comes to AI. I wanted to basically figure out what it's all about. And I mean, my headshots on LinkedIn and my headshot here, those are AI generated. I'm all in. I use it plenty. But when it comes to ASO, so I went in, and when I first got access to ChatGPT, I went in and I was like, all right, generate like 10 subtitles that basically speak to these features, and with a character count of 90, right? And it would come back and it would spit it out, and it was like 150 character count for every single one of them. And I was like, add a character count to the end of each of those before you give it, and do not let it exceed 90. It's like, got it. Did it again, same problem. I'm like, all right, so it doesn't know how to do character, or it knows how to count. It doesn't know how to stay within the parameters there. So it's limiting there. And I assume some people have tried that as well. What I have found better for with AI is going and asking it, like, who would you say my competitors are? Because some of us have clear competitors. Like, it's just obvious. Like when I was at AccuWeather, it was like us and the Weather Channel and WeatherBug. Like, it was easy to know. When I'm here at Life 360, it's like my competitors are Find My, but then Google Maps. Let's see, there's a number of like small location sharing apps out there. So it's like I don't have a clear list of people who are my competitors. So I was like, oh, give me a list of my competitors out there, and then tell me about each one of them. Talk to me about some of the things that they do well. Like, what are they known for? And from that, I'm able to basically see, okay, I know it's AI, I know it's not based on search, but it gives me insights and it gives me things to think about within there, the context that maybe I can incorporate into my own metadata, or maybe I can leverage on my own, or maybe there's somebody out there that I haven't considered or thought about.
On top, I want to say that if you want to launch, if your company is launching many apps and you don't have a time to deal with developing the description or whatever, ChatGPT also might be a good solution for that, especially in English. For other languages, to be honest, it's not super great. If we are talking about the long description, it's works in the short versions. But with long description, I see the issues. But besides ChatGPT, did you try any other?
I tried Bard, Google's Bard. What I've done recently, whenever I ask ChatGPT a question, I go ask Bard the same question, and I try to see, like, is anybody better at anything else? Bard has not really been that exciting, but outside of that, I haven't done any image generation. I have copywriters at my disposal. I have translations at my disposal. I have a creative team at my disposal. So I have to be careful not to jump all into AI just because I do have a team of professionals, of people who actually know our product and can speak to it. Now, if I'm a party of one, then it's a different story. I think then you do different leverage. But asking a question to you real quick, can I trust, it sounds like you said I shouldn't trust these AI tools for any translations, really. Is that accurate?
Like for the long description, for instance, they are not super accurate.
Okay.
I mean, based on my experience, for the short one, they are really great in most cases for across languages that I try.
Yeah.
Besides that, actually, I keep an eye on other AI tools like for screenshot and for screenshot generation. I can recommend to keep eyes on Runway. Did you try it?
I have not.
Canvas as well. They have it's very basic, but if these guys improve their product, will be very good. Also, in terms of like generating the different screenshots, the banner flow and banner wise also works really good. And I think they have a potential. Of course, the product is raw so far, and it's not.
What were the name of those again?
So for screenshots are Runway and Canvas. Canva, you know,
Okay.
it's very popular, like developing of screenshots.
Okay.
And for screenshots automation, banner flow and banner wise as well. I tried, and yeah, they are not ideal, but I think if they develop product very well, maybe in future we will see really great products such like partly ChatGPT is right now. Yes. In terms of like another news that we heard recently about iOS 17, Apple announced that they will allow third-party stores to put iOS 17's devices. What do you think? Who will be the player? Do you think that it will bring a big impact, or it's just a big nothing burger inside?
Yeah, so third-party app stores, we've seen this on Android, right? We've had this for a while, and my experience with them was, basically Samsung, Amazon, Huawei, and I went and I created storefronts for each one of those, and got zilch. Just I didn't see anything really happening. I mean, maybe outside the country there was some activity, but in the U.S. There was nothing. I'm going to be bold and say I do not see iOS users jumping on to third-party app stores to download. I mean, iOS users are Apple loyalists, right? They want to be where Apple is. I mean, take a walk around town and see how many white earbuds you see around. I mean, people are they gravitate to what's comfortable, and what's comfortable is the App Store.
Yeah, also, like I partly agree with you, but if the big game publishers, for instance, they decided to develop some third-party store and put all efforts to there, might be it might work. In my opinion,
I don't disagree. Like if Tencent created something, or somebody big out there created something, a game. I could see my kids maybe using it, but I don't see my mom using it, right?
Got it.
And frankly, I think it's more cutting edge than we want to. I think you and I know the benefits of it, right? We're like, this is cool. We want to go to these stores and get the apps here versus deal with iOS having to gatekeep everything. But the reality is the reality. Like, I mean, Mac and Apple computers are kind of just everybody uses them, but they're the most they're the hardest things to manipulate, right? You can't get them to do what you want to do. People can jailbreak their iPhones, but they don't. It's like there's this very small percentage that do it. So that's why I think it's just not going to take off.
Got it. We already touched the topic in-app events, yes. And once again, what is your experience with in-app events? Because I have both bad and good experience, and the product itself, based on my experience, is not polished yet. And Apple should do very very good job to move forward with better product. No, not with the crap that we have right now. But sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And what is your experience? Can you share with us?
Yeah. So I have done in-app events on both iOS and Android, and I mean I haven't gotten good results. And I don't think that's just I've seen good re-engagements, like existing users engaging with it and opening. I've seen more of that than I have actually seen downloads coming from it. Now that's going to be very dependent on your event itself. Like a lot of times we see these, like when something comes out, a new feature comes out, we want to take advantage of it, and so we have to come up with something to use it with, right? We had the benefit. Life 360 owns Tile Bluetooth trackers, so like the predecessor to AirTags, right? And so we wanted to. We spent the past year incorporating being able to track your tiles within the Life 360 app, not having to just rely on Tile itself. So this was a real in-app event. We're like, hey, track your tiles in your Life 360 account. And it really spoke more to my existing users than it did my new users. My new users who were finding me just wanted to download for location sharing. I saw high engagement from existing users and low engagement. And actually, I believe it did more harm because it bumped out my creatives. It basically took over my spot there. It was a learning that way. On the Google Play side, I got zero. I got really nothing out of it. I was running a trial, a free trial, right? And it just got very, very, very little engagement.
Because for games, I tried live ops for the same games, and in-app events doesn't work at all within the same creatives. And for like live ops card, it works perfectly, and I was super surprised about that. And not only with one game and with one category itself, but with different categories actually. And that was so far I was surprised about that, and I can share with you guys this weird experience that I experienced. Yes,
I really believe that you have to keep at it. Like if you got a new release coming out that's got a significant feature, I wouldn't rely on your what's new section. I would create an in-app event, like do something to promote, so that you're always, because Apple is going to promote its features, right? So if you're utilizing in-app events, it's going to give you a bump. Like we know, like we've seen that. Like there was a presentation earlier where they showed the in-app event, does actually bump up your ranking. So take advantage. Like don't rest on your laurels. Get out there, and it's not easy. We're not all Netflix and we're releasing The Witcher season whatever. It's like we don't have these exciting things all the time. It's like, so if you have to come up with something, if you've got a release and something new's coming out, definitely build a release for it, because it's going to give you a little bit of a bump and a boost.
Regarding the similar features that Apple launched almost together with in-app events, custom product page, yes. What is your experience? It is which UA channels did you try, and which works? Actually, we have very limitation of UA channels that you can use these tip links from custom product page, yes. And what is your experience, man? What in which cases it works and in which cases it didn't?
Yeah. So custom product pages is fantastic. I'm a big fan. I mean, it's not the version it is now. I'm looking forward to what it can become.
Me too, yeah.
But what they gave us was like, okay, finally something, right? So a big portion of my search traffic is looking for Find My Family, right? Find My Family, easy. And so we build our app store around finding my family, staying connected to my family, and key features within our app around my family. But there's this other subset that's Find Friends. And it's like, and so these Find Friends people would come and they'd bounce because we're geared around, tracking your teenage driver and other creepy things like that, right? So, but with custom product pages, I was able to basically, with Apple Search Ads, was able to build a whole ad group and basically build a screenshots around the focus of finding my friends and the features that are key of finding my friends. I don't want to show that you can look at like historical driving, data around your friends, but it can show more about like setting up parameters of privacy or in-app messaging or what.
And did you try in Today tab campaign as well?
Yes, I absolutely did try a Today tab.
It works because Today tab campaign sucks itself. No, in general, man.
Well, Today tab is actually going away as well. I don't know if you saw that, but so Today tab was pretty cool for impressions. But as far as conversion goes, it wasn't that great. Unless you're TikTok or Travelocity, it really was like, I mean, it's kind of a bust. But it was fun to play around with it and have specific custom product pages around that, because I would test. And what I found with Today tab and my custom product pages was I almost had to have my logo in every single screenshot, because the way the carousel moved, that it was like, as soon as that logo was gone off the first carousel, it was just like the screenshot. It was just like people didn't even know what they were looking at, right?
Yeah.
So there were things that you learned from that, but it was like, all right, I learned this, but now it's going away. So I was like, well, it's
And
great.
Facebook one, did you try? Did you try that one?
No, I did not try Facebook.
Got it. And my favorite question is, what is your epic fail within the recent months within ASO?
My epic fail. We have these great illustrations, right? Like these little cartoon drawings. They're very cute, and our brand team loves them. And I think that they really fit well with our voice. And so I started implementing them in a lot of my screenshots and trying to find out places to make them work. And they have just been dogs. This is me trying to follow suit with the brand team, and actually, again, the audience of one that thinks they make sense. Just dogs. And every time I put them out there, I'm just like, maybe this time it'll work. And it's like, I know it's not an epic fail, but it's pretty sad. It's pretty bad. I think if I was going to think epic fail, I could go back to my AccuWeather days. I couldn't get Korea to convert. I couldn't move the needle with Korea, right? So finally, like, I basically had all these different versions of things, and it was like we went into the Korean App Store and we started looking at other competitors, and it was like you had said earlier, the voice of Asia is so much different than the voice and the expectations of the US. Like, it's obvious we were a US app trying to get people to download it. It was just this failure of not going in and doing the research there versus just trying to like, oh, we'll just put Asian people in this picture and that'll make it all good. It's like, that's not how it works. And I mean, we really ended up going with like, I mean, this is very cliche, but we went up with like a Korean girl. She's like, okay, it's like, and it converted. It was the stupidest thing, but it was like, it did. It was like, so you have to be a student of the App Store. You have to go in and look at what the competition is doing. You have to look at what the non-competition is doing. Look at what the games are doing. The games, they're always busy and trying new things out. Like, spend some time and outside of what you normally do and learn. I think those are pretty sad epic fails. I don't know if I have. I mean, I can go back to my early days in my marketing where I misspelled the word maintenance 3 times in one ad. I could do that, but no epic fails that I could really share outside of that.
Got it. And what are the key learnings, man, recently from ASO field?
Key learnings. I think the number one, the cardinal sin of ASO is duplicating your keywords. And what I mean by that is you take your title, you take your subtitle, and again, App Store, title, subtitle, keywords. Do not duplicate anything at all. It is just, you're just wasting space. That's the cardinal sin. So that's my key learning. If you guys can walk away with that information, bonus to you. And I'm saying, like, go back and just make adjustments. Other key learnings, it's easy to set and forget. Like, it's easy to be like, okay, I got something that's working, and it's easy to walk away from ASO. Like, I am in charge of organic and I'm in charge of paid. And right now we're gearing up for our back to school season, which is like our peak time. And I've been so focused in on my paid efforts, my organic ones are kind of getting a little bit tired. And you almost have to set alerts to remind yourself, like, it's time to refresh. It's time to update. It's time to change. It's time to go do some research. Just don't rest on your laurels. Like, if I go and I see what my keyword rankings are on things, it's like, oh, that's good enough. Don't do that. Like, don't settle. You can optimize. You can get better. You just have to keep trying.
Got it. And now we have a time, I think, for QA. So please drop any questions. If you have, of course, guys, anyone, anything, please.
Yeah, there are great tools out there for that kind of keyword research. I know that, we use Data AI. There's App Tweak, App Figures, Sensor Tower, and whatnot. I definitely go and look at where people are ranking. I started buying into basically looking at what people are bidding on as well. This is one thing actually I did on app. This is ASA. This is not ASO, but this is ASA. Is like our brand term just started skyrocketing in cost, right? And just it was just blowing out my budget. I was paying way too much money for my own brand term. And so I went in and to one of these tool sets and I found out that eHarmony was bidding on my brand terms. and just driving the price way up. And I went on LinkedIn and I was like, eHarmony, and found that one person at eHarmony is connected to one of my connections. So I reached out to that connection. I was like, could you contact this person and get me in touch with them? And we got a hold of eHarmony. It was like, stop bidding on our brand terms. They're like, yeah, no problem. And immediately, like, we dropped down. Like, so that's a key learning, I guess, is like utilize your network if you're seeing things like that. But as far as your question goes, yes, definitely. Keyword research around your competition makes sense. You know, it's you, like, we're a big brand. Sometimes we get a little bit too like happy with where we are, especially of our brand term itself, where our competition's a bit more hacky, and it's good to see like where are they making strides.
Based on my experience, I'm splitting by countries and by languages the competitors, because for some countries, some competitors are very aggressive and they know very well, and for some countries they don't care. For instance, Asian ones like Chinese, some Chinese apps are very aggressive in Chinese market, and they don't care about other markets in general. So I mean, and they are only appeared in Chinese, for instance, in some, or they are appeared for other countries, but their creatives are very bad for other countries, but in Chinese they are like perfect. Yes. So like my suggestion is to not to do a general list of competitors, but do a split by country, and moving forward, not only for keywords but also for visual stuff, because you're gonna find for some of them really interesting stuff that they don't repeating for other countries, and it's specifically for these countries within this period. Yes. So I mean, based on my experience, it works.
I mean, it may be obvious, but in case somebody doesn't know, if you're doing your own translations, like you're basically you're trying to just have a presence out there, you're not paying for translations, you're using Google Translate or something like that. There is a feature in Google Sheets where you can basically just like, you could basically do a code where you can have basically do your translations all like a drop down in Google Sheets. It's pretty slick and easy. I would recommend looking that up if you do your own translations and they're through Google Translate. There is a Google Translate code in Google Sheets that you can leverage and basically just kind of mass translate real quick.